Hey team! Hey Plexus Wellness! It's Autumn here, and I am so excited because we are going to have a special interview right now. As soon as I see him get on, I am going to add him in. Let's see here. This is going to be so much fun. Okay, here we go. Bob, I'm going to add you. Let's see. Yes. Okay, I'm adding you. And hopefully, here we go. Here in just a minute. Hopefully, he can figure it out. I don't know. Oh, there you are. I can hear you. I cannot. Oh, there you are. Yay. Okay, we did it. Woohoo. All right. So, everyone, you all know our amazing upline, Diamond Ambassador Erin Bush. She is personally my sponsor. We have our special guest on tonight, Bob Bush, who is Erin's husband. And just to give you a little bit about Bob quickly, Bob was a chief risk officer for an insurance company. And if you don't know, that is a really prestigious job title. Like, each insurance company only has one chief risk officer. And actually he was just offered a job by another company to be a chief financial officer. They literally kind of hunted him down to offer him a job, but he turned it down. But he is also a mathematician and obviously a Plexus ambassador himself. But I've got to tell you the story a little bit of how Erin and him came to do this business, just really quickly. Erin obviously tried the products, had no intention of doing this as a business. She was a network marketing hater, and when her life was changed on these products, she couldn't help but share. And so she simply just shared and told people what the products were doing for her. They had radically changed her life. And she was getting these checks in the mail back when they would mail us checks. And she didn't even want to look at them. She said, I don't want to do this as a business. I want nothing to do with network marketing. And so she would pass them off to Bob, and Bob would look at them. And then finally, he became so interested in, okay, how are you making money? And maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that, Bob. You looked up the comp plan. Tell us a little bit more about like your beginning in that sense. Oh, wait, shoot, we can't hear you. It's like a little staticky. Wait, let me see. Talk again.
Does that make it better?
That's a little bit better, yeah. You're still a little bit far away, but just talk loud.
I'll try and get closer and speak loudly. Does that help?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Well, thanks for the kind introduction. I'm happy to be here with you this evening. And, as you were talking about, Erin didn't even want to see the checks. And so she'd just hand them over. And so at first I just wanted to understand it. Like, what is she getting paid for? What is she doing? And why does she get paid? And why do we get some checks on Fridays and this other one on the 15th? And, what is this all about? And so I learned it first just to understand what the comp plan was about. But second, I wanted to look at it from from a corporate finance perspective and say, was this comp plan viable? Was it?
Oh, we lost you. Oh, there you are.
Sorry, a reminder on my phone popped up.
Oh, okay.
Was this comp plan sustainable for the long term? And the conclusion that I came to after studying it and understanding it better is that absolutely, yes, it is viable. It's sustainable for the long term. It makes sense from a corporate financial perspective. And that was really the beginning of my belief in the company.
And I have to add a kind of a funny story too, because when I started doing Plexus, and I was making some money, my husband was like, oh, that's cute, Autumn. But it wasn't until Bob and my husband had talked, which they know each other. And my husband, knowing that Bob is the chief risk officer, which means he evaluates risks for the company, that he would know, you know, a good company if he sees one in that sense. And for my husband to hear Bob say, you know, what he did really is what sold my husband. So I'm excited for you all to hear a bit from Bob tonight in this interview. So let's talk about the comp plan. What makes our comp plan so great?
Well, I've spent a lot of time studying and looking at, thinking about the comp plan, and I've boiled it down to three things. It's generous, it's simple, and it's equitable. And we can talk about each one of those things if you'd like.
Yeah, how is it generous?
So in my view, it is generous because, or the reason that Plexus is able to be generous is because we as ambassadors, we are the marketing team. Most corporations, they have to hire an entire marketing staff, both internal and external. They have people out in the field. It's expensive to put their products on store shelves and a retail front. And instead of having all of that administrative burden and expense, what Plexus has is ambassadors. And how much better is that? We're able to share our own personal stories about how great the products are. That's much better than looking at it on a shelf. Well, that way, the administrative expenses are so much lower that the company can pay those dollars back out to the ambassadors. But Plexus goes even further, not just from those savings. Plexus pays out 50% of the commissionable volume on all those sales that are made back to the ambassadors. And that is a remarkable number. And then they're having to run the entire business and try and generate a profit on the other 50%. So it's very generous from that perspective. I would also say it's generous because you can earn meaningful money at the lowest levels, lowest ranks of this company. A few $100s a month can make such a difference to so many families, and that's easy to earn with Plexus. And I think that most people would agree that just a few hundred to a few $1,000s can make a big difference to them financially. And the other reason that it's generous is you don't have to wait for your team. I know with some other network marketing companies that they've gotten over the same hurdle of the marketing expenses and the advertising expenses, but they're still not as generous as Plexus. And I'll give you one example. That is that in many network marketing companies, you have to have certain people in your downline on your team rank so that you can rank. That is not the case with Plexus. If you personally sign up 100 different people, you can be Ruby. You don't have to have a huge downline that's working, but one of the huge benefits is having a downline that's also working.
Right. Yeah. I love that it's not based on like our personal sales, which yes, I mean our own personal sales or wholesale accounts can benefit us, but it's you know, it's not just us selling massive amounts of product each month.
That's right. So the second one I mentioned was simple. The compensation plan, it really is simple. And you know, we talk about this idea of residual income. And you don't have to be this great salesperson to generate a real residual income that's going to continue to pay you in the future for the work that you're doing today. And my wife, Erin, I'm sure all of you know her, she's the perfect example of this. She is not a salesperson, but she has shared Plexus and told other people about it over and over and over. She's received a lot of no's, all right? And I'm starting to receive more and more no's as I'm having time to work my own business a bit as well. But along with many, many no's come more and more yeses. And so coming back to the idea of it being simple, the compensation plan here is simple. You don't have to balance legs, like a binary system. If folks are familiar with those in other network marketing plans, you don't have to worry about, oh, I've got this new person. I think they might be a rock star. Where should I place them? We don't have to worry about those things with Plexus. It is simple. You sign them up. They're part of your team. Every person that you sign is your level 1. And then it builds on from there. And you are earning from the start. I mentioned earlier the weekly paychecks and the monthly paychecks. We can get paid 5 times per month. But while that at the very beginning sounds a little bit complicated, it's so quick to understand it and how that works. It really is simple in the end. And Autumn, you and I have talked several times about this power of 3. And we just love this whole concept about the power of 3. And if you're not familiar with it, I'll say it very simply. If you yourself sign 3 people, you go silver, and every person then from there down, 7 levels deep, goes silver, and everyone has 3 people below them and is active, you are diamond. Right? That probably blows some people's minds to think about that, but that is absolutely true. We can walk through the numbers another time and show exactly that is true if there are some fellow skeptics out there. But it really does work. And that power of 3 is an important concept, and that helps keep this comp plan going and keeps it simple. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, Autumn, if you had something to jump in.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that's really rather easy to wrap your mind around when you think about it. I mean, going silver and then duplicating that 7 levels deep, per each person, and you're diamond, you're at the top of the company. Holy cow, that's a really great analogy.
So yeah, keeping that focus on get 3 people and get everyone you sign to add 3 people, and as that process duplicates itself, that's where real growth can occur.
Mm-hmm.
So the third way that I mentioned was equitable. So it's generous, it's simple, and it's equitable and fair. And in this case, there are many ways that this compensation plan is fair. And the most important to me that I don't hear people talk about a lot, but I think really caught my attention early on is that the greatest benefit every time you add someone to the organization and for your own work, the greatest benefit goes to you. Doesn't go to the person who managed to make their way to the top of the company. And in fact, once you get, you may be some superstars level 12, they're not making a penny off of you. But that's one of the beauties, I believe, of this system. You're not working to benefit the person that's high up in the organization. Of course, there is some benefit to your upline, but the greatest benefit is to you personally. And I think that's a really equitable and fair way to develop a compensation plan, and Plexus has done that for us. Another really important point is compression. So if you're not familiar with the concept of compression, it's pretty simple. Say you had 5 levels deep in your Plexus team, and you have a level 3 that had a whole bunch of 1s and 2s to them, which would be your level 4 and 5, and that level 3 quits. They're done. They're no longer part of Plexus. Well, in many organizations that do network marketing, those extra dollars would go back to corporate profits. Not in Plexus. Compression means that those people who used to be your level 4 and 5 below that level 3, they move up now. They're now your level 3 and 4. And you start getting paid at a higher level on those people. So Plexus continues to pay out that 50%. They don't then keep some of the profits just because somebody dropped out of the system. So compression is really important and a big part of the fairness or equity in this compensation plan. And I just really believe it gives the entire compensation plan, but especially the equitableness of it, it gives everyone a fair opportunity to grow, to advance, to reach the top levels of the company and to build a business. And there is no top end. You can make a few $100s, a few thousand, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. You can actually make millions of dollars a year if you build the organization large enough. There is no limit. There's no top. There was one other thought here that Autumn, you and I were talking about yesterday, and that is that some companies, they will pay an override commission of sorts to the people that were early joiners to that network marketing business, or that achieved high ranks early on in that network marketing business. Okay, that's great if you happen to be one of the early people in that business, but that's terrible for everybody else. That is diluting the compensation of everyone else. Well, Plexus does not do that. There is no special benefit to those first 5 top jewels that became diamonds. They have to earn theirs the same way as everybody else. The compensation plan is fair and equitable. It's so much better than anything else I have seen. I'm not an expert on network marketing comp plans, but I have looked at several others over these couple of years, and this is far and away superior in every way that we've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's untouched. We're our own thing, in case you don't know, just like Bob's saying. And the fact that we have products that are changing lives, and, our product, it's not a fad. Health is not a fad. Health will never go out of style. In fact, America is just going to need us more and more, unfortunately, because our health is going down the drain. So, we have a product that is going to give hope to so many. And then the fact that we get to, have ourselves a business from the nooks and crannies of our day, work from our phone. This isn't like a party-based company where you have to go out and do parties. You can, but most of us do, 95, 98% of it from our phone, anywhere and everywhere. And then the fact that we can make a substantial income is incredible. Erin Bush replaced her teaching income in 4 months?
That's right.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your newest situation.
Yeah, this is still pretty fresh and wonderful. At the end of September is when I walked away from that corporate executive job. It paid very well, but what it took from me and from our family was an awful lot of time. There were way more 70 and 80-hour weeks than there ever were 40-hour weeks, and that's costly in very different ways. And I am just thrilled to be home with my family, and we're homeschooling the kids, and I have time freedom. I mean, today on a Thursday, in the middle of the day, we all went to a movie, and it's just so different.
And they
so wonderful.
Saw you before. You were off working hard, making good money, but you were missing out on life, right? Missing out with your family.
That's right. And it all started with a little $34.95 investment. So one of the things I talk about from a financial perspective is that return on investment. I mean, it's thousands of times over. So I don't even try and measure what that true ROI is for those that are familiar with those terms and like to think that way. It's just incredible that everything you need to run this business, you get for that $34.95. You've got your website, you've got your business, and you can generate this stream of residual income for the long term, and you can have this freedom, and anybody can do this. I mean, if you have not heard Erin's story, then you need to. I mean, this is truly, she started from having turned away all her friends and had to rekindle lots of relationships, and this is just an amazing business. It's a great opportunity with wonderful products, and I'm thrilled to be the recipient of all of her work, and now doing everything I can to be a part of it as well.
So to conclude, Bob, explain to us how Plexus is set up in such a way that, you know, you can retire, that you yourself or your spouse, you know, share with us a little bit more about that.
Sure. You know, one of the things that Aaron and I had talked about was, you know, from a household financial perspective, you want to try and diversify your income stream. You want to add financial stability, you know, to the family. Even a great corporate job, there's no guarantee that it's still going to be there tomorrow. People get laid off every day. Executives are often the first ones to go when there's a management change. And so a network marketing business, and specifically Plexus, is the ideal way to do that, because you're building something, you know, again, this concept of residual income that will continue into the future, getting paid on the work you're doing today. And you know, with this particular compensation plan, it is generous, as we talked about, and that generosity is what has enabled so many people to generate incomes that they really hadn't dreamed of before. I mean, Erin was a teacher. She couldn't have dreamed of making the kind of money that she's making now. And that has enabled us to now have choices. We have the choice. And when Erin first brought up the concept of me, quote, retiring, I was like, oh, I'm too young. I can't use that word. And she had to change that to say, well, I want you to have the choice. I want you to be able to choose to not work so hard and miss out on our kids' lives and our family anymore. And she built it to where I did have that choice. And I thought it was going to be a hard choice to make, but boy, once it was reality, it wasn't that hard. And as you mentioned, Autumn, at the beginning, I turned down an even better job just in the last week or two. And I am just thrilled and don't regret it one bit. It's just an amazing way to be able to live, to work from your phone, from anywhere, from home, to be able to have this time is really so meaningful to me.
Yes, and in case you don't know, maybe you're newer here, in this company, which is, I hear, pretty rare, and if you noticed, I said Bob is an ambassador as well. And so in Plexus, they literally let us double dip in the company, in the compensation plan. And, you know, while Aaron is Diamond, Bob is working his way to Emerald, and then Sapphire, and then Diamond as well. So that means, you know, double time income for the family, and then a free Lexus for Bob. So that means Aaron and Bob both get one, 6-figure incomes for both of them, a Hawaii trip with 2 extra tickets. So super exciting times ahead. It's just the sky's the limit in this company.
Absolutely. I've got a little ways to go, but that we'll get there.
Yep, you'll get there. Well, gosh, Bob, thank you so much for jumping on and letting us, you know, ask you some questions and get your perspective on our amazing company. We know the products are amazing, but the compensation plan is not talked about enough. What we have and how it can change your life if you choose to work this as a job. And it's something you can do, as we say, in the nooks and crannies of your day. Lots of people work this while they have a full-time job. And they work their way up to the top of the company and quit their job or cut back to part-time. So it's totally possible here. Your dreams, your future plans can all come true much sooner than what you thought, thanks to this company. So,
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks, Bob.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
All right. Have a good night. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Okay. Bye.